For this section of the tutorial we're going to go below deck and look at the suspension system, the springs, foam, mounting nuts, and also the internal wiring. Before we flip the deck over, it's a good idea to take off the little bias weight and put that somewhere safe so it doesn't get lost, and make sure the arm is properly located in the armrest. It's also not a bad idea at this stage to remove the head shell, just in case. Put the stylus and cartridge away somewhere safe as well. The other thing we should do before opening up the bottom of the deck is just remove the mains plug from the electricity supply. So underneath we can see there are these 4 rubber feet held on with little screws. Not great these, but that's what they are. Let's just get these off. All 4 of them. With the feet all removed and the screws out, this bottom panel can remove, and if we put this round the other side of the unit, it can hook just under the speed switch and act as a stand. So what we've got underneath here is the center spindle, the drive motor, mains connections and inlet cable, on-off switch. This is a little pull wire connection for the lift and lower mechanism. These are the little fine wires coming out of the tone arm onto this connector block here, and then a more robust piece of cable going out to the phono preamp. These 3 spring fixings with the red seal on them are the suspension points. One of the things I'm seeing straight away is, we can zoom in there, let's have a look at these cables. This cable here has got itself tangled around the suspension spring. That's clearly not good. These need to be loose and free so that the arm can move freely and the suspension can move freely. So what we're going to do is anchor these fine wires a bit better than they are. There's different ways that could be done. We could put another eyelet under this screw. We could attach a P-clip. What I'm going to use is a cable tie and take this round the existing earth wire. So now the cables are dressed clear of the suspension point, but still with a nice wee loop of cable there so that they're not going to snag. One of the things we can see straight away is that the screws and their locking nuts are all set currently to different heights. Let's take a closer look at the suspension spring arrangement. What we've got here at the top is a rubber bush that it's mounted on, then the conical spring with a piece of foam inside it for damping, a rubber grommet at the end, then a metal washer, and then a nut to adjust the height that the spring sits at. It's a 5mm thread, so an 8mm socket. We'll remove that nut. Let's unscrew it. Alright, you can immediately see there's plenty of life in that spring. The whole spring assembly comes off, and we see the bit of foam in there, which I'm going to remove. So here's our spring and the lump of foam that came out of it. I'm not a great fan of the foam. It's designed to help dampen the movement of the deck if you've got any vibration or instability in the mount, but to my mind of thinking, there shouldn't be any movement to the deck. It should be solidly mounted on a table or a shelf, and there shouldn't be any lateral movement possible if the deck's mounted properly. Therefore, the piece of foam isn't required. So we're going to put this spring back on here. Just check the rubbers are all in good condition. So let's hold that back in place. And I'm replacing the regular nuts with nylock nuts. These have got a little locking washer in them so that they don't shake loose once they're in place. You can feel it's a little stiffer to drive on. I'm driving it on until it's just past the end of the screw. That'll be our starting point, and I'm going to do the same with the other two springs. So with our foam removed and the new nuts on back in first positions, it's time to level up the deck. For this, I use a pair of trusty loudspeakers. What I want to do here is suspend the deck between these two. Now that the deck is upon speakers, I can replace the platter and the rubber mat. And the head shell, so that we're balancing everything up with the correct working weight. Here's how the suspension looks in the first position. Not good. And there's lateral movement there and different amounts of springiness right across the table. Also, you can hear this side is knocking. So I'm going to take up the rear spring, tighten that up a bit. So I'm going to start to level up the back there. Which was sagging. There's only a small amount of play possible on this deck. It's only about 5mm of travel in total, but that's actually moving quite nicely and clearly now. We now have a nice vertical movement on the sub chassis. I'm just going to use the spirit level to see if we're level across the board. It's not bad. It needs to go up a little bit at this side. Okay, still got the vertical spring. This time it's sitting more level. We can now take the platter off, reattach the base plate, and we're ready for the next stage. Thanks for watching this tutorial. If you found it useful at all, please subscribe down below. If you have any comments, put them in the box underneath. Thank you and good luck with your own turntable.